Hi students. So those of you who have taken CMAT must be wondering which B schools I can target now that the CMAT result is out. So in today's video, we are going to talk about the applications that are still open, and you would be surprised and happy to know that more than 75 programs are available where you can still apply, offered by more than 60 business schools. Now, some of it, of course, has to be done on priority because the application deadlines are just around the corner. But for some of these programs, you can wait because the application process will begin at a later point of time, or the deadline is you still have some time before you reach the application deadline. So we're going to talk about all of these things, including the cutoffs, the application deadlines, and which are the programs that you can look at. So let's get started. Now, before we talk about the actual B schools, the programs, and the cutoffs, there are a few things that I want you to understand because when it comes to using CMAT scores, a lot of students have concerns with respect to the PGDM programs, whether the programs are accepted, whether they are recognized, and so on and so forth. So that is why you have to understand that when it comes to PGDM, because the program is offered by the respective institute, and most of these are private business schools, the name of the B school is very, very important. The brand name is really crucial. So don't go to business schools that are not very well recognized or well known. A lot of local institutes, you should do thorough research before joining them, because it may happen that you join and then you realize that the B school is not offering great placements, and that is why you have to do your research as well. And I would recommend that you go through the placement figures and see if it is something which is in line with your aspiration, and definitely talk to some of the students who have graduated from that particular institute in the past to know the real picture, because it may happen that they do not have 100% placement, and this information is not something that will be available on the B school website. So the programs that I'm going to talk about here today, all of them have placements more than 7 LPA, so that is the cutoff that I decided to keep. But if you believe that there are locally good institutes, well-known institutes, you can definitely check them out. I would suggest one more thing, which is considering the total cost of the program. So let's say you live in a particular city and you're getting a particular institute through your CMAT score, which is offering, let's say, X LPA as the average. There is another institute in some other city and you will have to, of course, relocate, and there will be an additional cost of all of that. And that is going to offer you, let's say, marginally higher CTC. Then it may not make sense for you to do that. So evaluate options. When you do that, you should consider the total cost of the program that you're going to incur, especially if you're moving to another city. Then if there are any such options, so you will see some options, for example, in your city, you might find institutes, private institutions that are accepting CMAT scores. The CTCs could be, let's say, 5 LPA, 6 LPA as well. Now, for some students, that may be too less, and that is why they are not going to consider it, which is completely okay. But for those of you who are going to consider these, typically they will have less than 7 LPA as the CTC. So evaluate the options well before you take decisions. Okay, and if you don't find those institutes listed here, because as I said, I kept a certain cutoff because there are tons of institutes out there, you can't be discussing all of them. And typically they will have less than 7 LP. Now, institutes without fixed cutoffs, because a lot of the institutes that even I'm going to discuss, they have not released the exact CMAT cutoffs, because test is just one thing that they consider in the overall application. You're going to have your academic record, your work experience, any diversity points like gender diversity or academic diversity, and so on. So test score is just one component, and the institutes, some of them, do not reveal the exact cutoffs. In that case, you can assume it to be somewhere close to about anywhere between 50 to 80 percentile with a range. The typically the institutes with higher average CTCs would have higher cutoffs as well. Institutes with lower CTCs would have lower cutoffs. Typically that is how it will work. But I would say take a chance. So if you believe that, okay, at a certain institute they have not released the cutoff, but I think I have a shot at it, apply and see what happens, right? And you can talk to a few past students to get a sense of what sort of score students had, to gauge a little better whether you will be able to get a shortlist or not. But I would say take a chance. That's always better than having a regret at a later point of time. And one very important thing is to take CET, MAT, ATMA, because these tests are still yet to happen. CET is yet to happen. It is going to happen in April and May. MAT and ATMA, you will also have the next attempt in May. So make sure that you take these to increase your chances, because most private B schools also accept the MAT and the ATMA scores in addition to the CMAT scores, and of course the CET as well. So the way I've structured the next discussion is there are three parts to this. The first part is going to be, we'll talk about B schools where there are defined cutoffs. So they have given what cutoffs they are looking for shortlisting. Second set of B schools we'll talk about is the institutes where you don't have a defined cutoff. And then we'll talk about the centralized admission process, which is followed by the CET cell, where you can use your CMAT score for 15% all India seats. So that is how we'll structure this discussion. I hope you will stick around till the end because there is a lot to discuss. So let's start with firstly the programs with defined cutoff. So these are the institutes where they have given that, okay, this is the minimum that we are looking for in CMAT. So you will end up saving money, otherwise you're not eligible for some of these, right? So we'll start with Kriya University. It's a great option that you can look at. They have an MBA program. Now what they have given is they have given AIR up to 2000. Okay, so if you calculate, that's roughly about 95% this year. So if you're under AIR 2000 for CMAT this year, you can apply before 28th Feb. So that the deadline is just there. The CTC is pretty good. So this is 12.04 as the average CTC. Another institute that you can look at is going to be the National Insurance Academy. Now, NIA, which is in Pune, has a PGDM program. Again, the cutoff is 95. 15 March is the deadline, so you have some time. The average CTC is pretty good, so 12.74 is what they have mentioned. Then you have BIMTech, which has multiple programs, two programs specifically, PGDM and the PGDM International Business. Both of these have deadline as 2nd March. The cutoff that they're looking for is 95 percentile for the PGDM program and 90 for the International Business program. So check these out. The placement numbers are also very good, 11 and 10.61. Then we move to IMT Nagpur. So for IMT Nagpur only, under the IMT set of institutions, they accept the CMAT score. So you can apply for PGDM, the Financial Management program and the Marketing program. 90 percentile is the cutoff and you can apply before 5th March. The average placement is 10. Then you have Wellinkar. Now in Wellinkar, there are two campuses. There is Mumbai campus and then there is Bangalore campus. Multiple programs are available, right? And for each of these programs, they have intake ranging from 60 to 120 or more. So you have a lot of seats that are available. Now, what they have given is they have given the minimum eligibility. Typical cutoffs tend to be on the higher side, but you are eligible if you have scored 85 percentile for most of their programs. So if you see under Wellinkar Mumbai, there are three options that I've listed here, and on the next slide you have more. You have PGDM Research and Business Analytics, and the e-business program. For all of them, the minimum requirement is going to be 85 percentile on the CMAT. The deadline is yet to be announced, but the earlier you apply, the better it is, because they might announce the deadline very soon or they might close it as well. So 13.17 for the first two programs and 12.47. So these are pretty good numbers that one can look at when it comes to the PGDM program. So definitely check it out. If you're somebody with more than 85 percentile, these are great options to consider. Then we'll move on to the next set of institutes. So again, under Wellinkar, now you have Wellinkar Mumbai as well as Bangalore campus. We can look at programs such as the business design and the retail program at Wellinkar Mumbai. And the cutoff for each of these is 80 percentile. Placements are also again good, 13.2 and 12.4 respectively. Then for Wellinkar Bangalore, you have two programs with 80 percentile as the minimum requirement. The PGDM program and the PGDM Research and Business Analytics. Again, very good programs. If you look at the average CTCs, both are more than 10. Now, under Wellinkar, you also have the PGDM Media and Entertainment, a program that they started several years back and now has kind of established itself. 9.87 is the average reported CTC. 80 percentile is the cutoff. You can also use your percentile for Wellinkar Bangaluru's program, which is PGDM e-business, which is also 80 percentile. And there the average CTC is 9.8. Then we have BIMTech, again Noida campus, where PGDM retail management, and I've listed everything in the order of the percentile cutoff, and that is why you see BIMTech was there on the previous slide, but there the percentile requirement was higher. Here it is slightly lower. So at 70 as the minimum requirement, you are eligible, but you have to apply before 2nd March. The placement again is very good. It's 11.1 as reported. And under Wellinkar Mumbai, you also have the PGDM Rural Management Program. If you're keen on that, then 10.8 is the CTC and 70 percentile is the minimum requirement. Okay. Then we have a few more programs. So again, at BIMTech Noida, you have PGDM insurance business. So you will find a lot of these programs have specific function focus, right? So if you look at say something like an insurance business or a rural management or media and entertainment. So before you commit to these programs, just evaluate whether you're really interested in it or not. Because if you don't know or if you're not very sure about it, it's better to go for a generic PGDM program than a specialized PGDM program. So BIMTech Noida insurance business, again 70 percentile is the cutoff, and that creates opportunities for a lot of students who can target this. The CTC is 10.59 as reported. And then you have Wellinkar Mumbai's healthcare management and Bengaluru's business design and innovation. Again, great programs. Both of them have CTCs that are very close to 10, and the minimum requirement is 70 percentile. UP is Dehradun, another option that is worth considering. 9.5 is the average CTC. The deadline is very close by, so 20th Feb. Make sure that you apply prior to it. The requirement is 70 percentile here. Then you have another institute at 70 percentile, which is Vivekanand Business School. This is in Mumbai. PGDM program 8.5 is the average CTC reported. And then you have two institutes in Bengaluru that you can look at, which is the St. Joseph's and the Christ. Both of them are at 60 percentile minimum requirement. The deadline 20th Feb for St. Joseph's and 5th April for Christ. So for Christ, you have some time before you take a decision. The CTC numbers, as you will see, will start reducing as we go slightly down the ranking. And here, for example, for Christ, it's about 7.7. Though year after year, there have been fluctuations with this number. So I kept 7 as the cutoff. I could have kept it as 6. I could have kept it as 8 as well. But I thought, okay, let's keep it 7 so that we have more coverage. Okay. All right. And this is the last set of institutes with defined cutoffs. Now for Wellinkar, the way it is, right, you have multiple programs that are available. IBS is another option that is worth considering. They have multiple campuses. So except Hyderabad, all of them you can still apply. So they will be accepting CMAT scores. So you can apply for the PGPM programs. For all of them, they have indicated that 60 percentile is the minimum that they will look for. And that gives opportunity to 40% of 42,000 people who took the test. So that's about 17,000 people who will still be under that sort of consideration, right? So you can look at this whole set of institutes. Now, all of them, you will notice that the average CTC is between 7 to 8. Okay. Now, if you are somebody who is aspiring for that sort of average CTC, the max numbers are close to about 11, I believe. At some of them, it's about 9. So have a look at the batch size, have a look at your own aspiration, and then you can decide which programs you want to apply to. Okay, so these are all the programs that are available. I'm not going to walk you through all of them because you can read it out, but then just go through it, see if that is something that is that you want to apply to. Okay. So that ends the programs with defined cutoffs. Now we are going to have institutes where the institute has not mentioned clearly what CMAT cutoff they look at. So these are all the institutes without defined cutoffs. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning, if you believe that you have a shot at it, make sure that you apply. So as long as your percentile is not very, very low, and when I say very low, I would say something, let's say less than 40 percentile or 50 percentile, I think these are reasonably good institutes to look at because all of them, as I said, are more than 7 LPA. Typically, the institutes that accept students even at 30-40 percentile would be offering lower CTC as well. So keep that in mind. So here, if you're, I think, north of 40-50 percentile, you will still have a chance at it. Okay. So starting from IMI, so you have IMI Kolkata, you have IMI Bhubaneswar. Both of them, it's a very good institutes offering more than 12 as the CTC. So have a look at these two. Then you have ISB and M. Okay, now ISB and M has multiple campuses, though they have reported only one placement number, which is 11.4. So I would say do a little bit of research around it as to, because I think their Pune campus, they've reported that number. For other campuses, if you're considering, please talk to a few students as to whether the number is consistent across campuses or not, because limited information is available. So for a lot of these institutes, you may not find exact information across individual campuses the way you had for, say, IBS, right, where campus wise they're reporting average placement numbers. For some of these programs, they don't do that. Okay, so you'll have to do a little bit of research on your own as well. The deadline for this is to be announced for IMI Kolkata and Bhubaneswar. Because it is 20th Feb, make sure that you decide as early as possible. Then you have Soil Gurgaon, again PGDM program, deadline is 21st March, 11.1, so that's a good number. Then you have NL Dalmia, which is in Mumbai. The PGDM program, they haven't announced the deadline, but again, the placement figures are pretty good, which is north of 11. IIFM, another great institute which has been there for a very long time. The rebranding of the program, so earlier the program was slightly different. Now it is called MBA in Forestry Management, and you can look at this, it's in Bhopal. 28th Feb is the deadline, so decide early. This is going to be 10.38 as the average CTC. Then you have XIME in Bengaluru, both PGDM and the PGDM Business Analytics program. Deadline to be announced, but north of 10 CTC. Then you have two institutes, SDMIMD, which is in Mysore, and JIMS, which is in Delhi. Programs are PGDM. For JIMS, there are 3 programs that you can apply to. CTCs are very close to 10. Okay, so still something which is worth applying to. If you are, I would say somewhere around 75 or more percentile, you should definitely apply. But students who are between somewhere around 60, 70 can also try their luck at some of these programs. Then we'll move to another set of institutes which are without any specific cutoffs. So starting from Flame University, which is in Pune. 15 March is the deadline. Average CTC is close to 10, 9.63 is the reported number. You also have NIT Calicut, but note that for NIT Calicut, it's not the entire batch intake, right? So NIT Calicut has a batch size which is large. Out of that, majority of the students are going to be via CAT. But they also have 2 categories. There are industry candidates and then there are self-sponsored candidates. I think that's about 5% each. So it's a very small number, but you can apply via your CMAT score. Okay, so the cutoff is not something that they've clearly mentioned, but with 9.63, I think it's a very good option that you can look at. It's just that the number of seats are going to be smaller because majority of the seats at NIT Calicut are via CAT. Then you have Jaipuria, which is in Noida. 28th Feb is the deadline, 9.5 as the CTC. And another good option that you can look at is going to be the Praxis Business School. So Praxis Business School in Kolkata, again, has been there for a very long time. The PGDM program at a 9.5 CTC must be considered. Now, SIS School of Business Studies, which is in Mumbai, has multiple programs including the core, the biotech and the pharma management program. Have a look at this. 9.2 is the CTC and 28th Feb is the deadline. Then we have IMS Ghaziabad, which is offering PGDM, and in that again the deadline has not been announced, but with a 9.2, a good option to consider. Narayana Business School in Ahmedabad, to be announced deadline, but 8.4 is the average CTC, so please consider it as well. Then you have Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, but now with multiple campuses. Again, this figure that they have given, right, which is 8.3. We are not very sure whether this figure is across consistent for all the campuses. Okay, so you might have to reach out to them and check them out, check out whether for individual campuses what the placement numbers are like. Okay, so but because it's an institute with multiple campuses, even if you apply, there is a good chance that you will make it to one of these campuses. So especially if you are somebody with slightly lower percentile, you're not very sure where I will be able to make it. At least this is something that can be considered. 28th Feb is the deadline, by the way, so take your decision early. Then you have Narayana Business School, which is in Ahmedabad. So there is a PGDM. Again, sorry, this is my bad because I have repeated this. So I have made a mistake here. So apologies for that. Then programs without defined cutoffs will continue, and we have GIBS Business School. Okay, now under GIBS Business School, which is in Bengaluru, you have the PGDM program where you have average CTC 8.2. Then LM Thapar, which is in Punjab, ISBR in Bengaluru. Again, for both of these institutes, the CTCs are very close to 8, slightly more than 8. So have a look at these two. Then you have ISBR Business School in Bengaluru offering PGDM. So for this, the average CTC is 8. Okay. Then IES MCRC. So these are two different programs. One is PGDM. There's one more program if I recall. So have a look at ISBR. For IES, you have PGDM and PGDM Pharma Management. Okay, so again, 8 is the CTC, but 9th March is the deadline. So have some time before you take a decision. Under Flame University Pune, we saw one program earlier. This is another program which is MBA Communications Management. It has a slightly lower reported CTC. So this is 7.65, but 15 March is the deadline. And then you have GN IoT Institute of Management Studies, Noida, offering PGDM. This is 15 March deadline, 7.25, And the last institute, which is Cochin School of Business, which is in Cochin. PGDM, again 7 is the CTC that you can look at. So below CTC 7, I haven't gone, as I mentioned earlier as well. But you will find institutes wherever you're located, right? So no matter which city you are in, you will find enough options, and in other cities as well, where CMAT score is accepted for the PGDM or the PGPM programs, and they might be offering CTCs in the range of say 5 LPA or 6 LPA. Those have not been mentioned here, but as I said earlier, you should check out those options as well, especially if you are somebody who has scored on the lower end, but you will still have options. Okay, so don't think that just because you scored on the lower end, you will not be able to get into any of the programs. Okay, and that is precisely the reason why a lot of these institutes don't mention a definite cutoff, because it's a combination of your test score, your academics, your work experience, and other parameters. Okay. All right. Now, so we reached the third part or the last part of our discussion as to how do you use your CMAT scores for the All India category within the CET centralized admission process. Now, a lot of students have confusion regarding this. So let me try and explain it and try and make it simple for everybody. So first thing is centralized admission process. There's nothing to be done at this point of time. So we're recording this in Feb. There's nothing that you need to do before CET result is out. And post CET result, they announce the centralized admission process. Rounds typically begin after June, mostly in the month of July. And colleges typically begin in September. So the way it works is, using your CMAT score, you can apply for a certain set of seats within the institutes that fall under the purview of the Maharashtra MBA CET cell. Now, what they do is they have a common process in which you can indicate preferences. There are multiple rounds. So last year they had 3 CAP rounds, and then there was one more 4th CAP round that was conducted. Even after that, there will be seats that will go vacant, by the way. So there are enough seats. It's not that seats are not there. It's just that a lot of students don't want to apply to some of the programs, especially I would say after the top 25 institutes. Majority of the students think that maybe there is a better option, which is waiting for another year and trying again, rather than taking something which might not give you good placement. So I would say top 25-30 institutes are still okay. Beyond that, you might really want to consider as to why you're doing an MBA and whether you should be doing it at this point of time from this particular institute or not. Okay. Now, within these colleges, 85% of the seats are reserved for the Maharashtra students. So imagine a college with 100 seats, 85 seats will be called state seats. In that 85, the split is 70 will be reserved for the home university and 15 for outside home university. Now, what is the meaning of this? Let's say you are a student who studied in Pune all your life, so including your graduation. So you are from Pune University. Now you are applying to a B school in Mumbai, which falls under Mumbai University. So you will be considered what is called outside home university candidate. But if you are somebody who studied in Mumbai and applying to a B school in Mumbai, you are considered a Mumbai University or home university candidate. So there are 70% home university seats, 15% outside home university seats. There is almost 50% reservation within these 85% of the state seats. And then there are 15% remaining seats which are called All India. Now for these All India seats, they accept any national test like CET, CMAT, MAT, ATMA, ZAT, etc. So you can use your CMAT score for these 15% seats that are available. Obviously, because it is 15%, the cutoffs are going to be on the higher side. As we will see the table, you will realize that the cutoffs are pretty high, especially for the top 3-4 institutes. After that, the cutoffs start going down. You can also use CMAT score for what is called institute level seats. So there are in each of the B schools which will participate in the centralized admission process, they also have their own, there's an institutional quota. So institution level seats, which is called ILS. So that is available. And any seats that remain vacant after CAP rounds are also converted into it, which means that you can apply through your CMAT score for these seats as well, which are institute level seats. So it's not only the 15% All India, but also the institute level seats or the additional CAP seats that, as we call them, you can use your CMAT score. Okay, but all of this, you will not be able to do anything about it right now. As I mentioned, everything that I'm going to discuss now from here on, will happen after June. So you're going to have enough time. By then other applications will be done. You will have most of your results, etc. But this is still something that you participate in to see where you make it and if you get a much better institute. So let's talk about the cutoffs and JBIMS. Most of the students are interested in applying to JBIMS, but note that JBIMS cutoff will be very close to 99.99. In most years, it has been 99.99. In some years, it will go to 99.98. Now, anything less than that, if you got in your CMAT, it's not going to help, right? Because I keep getting queries from students that I got a 99.95 or 99.9 in CMAT. Will I get JBIMS through that? The answer is no. And the reason for that is because All India has only 15% seats. At JBIMS, that is 120 into 15%, so that is 18 seats. And for these 18 seats, they accept CET, CMAT, MAT, ATMA, ZAT, everything. Which means that you're going to have students who have taken CET and have scored a 100 or a 99.99. You will have students who have taken MAT and got a 99.99 as well. So it's very competitive space. That is why the cutoff is very high. So 99.98 or more if you have in CMAT, you have a very good shot. If you got a 100 percentile on the CMAT, you have a red carpet entry. Okay, so there's absolutely no reason to worry. Those of you who got a 99.99 or a 100, you are in JBIMS. 100 is definitely in. 99.99, we'll have to see how many candidates get this year. With reduced number of takers, I think cutoff might be 99.98 this year. So 99.99 and 100, you're sorted. Then you have Sydenham, which is popularly known as SIMSREE. So SIMSREE again has a very high cutoff, 99.96 for the All India. Then Wellinger. So what we saw earlier, right, which is under V School, which is also called Wellinger, those programs are PGDM programs. They are governed by Wellinger, they are conducted by Wellinger, they control the entire admission process. This particular program that you see here is the Master of Management Studies program, which is governed by the Mumbai University. Wellinger is just offering that particular program. So the syllabus and all of that is defined by the University of Mumbai. Here the cutoff is 99.90. So last couple of years that has been the case. All of these are last year's cutoffs, by the way, but year after year the numbers haven't changed too much. I think the only change that happened was the moment COEP came into picture, the cutoffs changed a little bit, but since their entry, cutoffs have remained stable, right, last couple of years. Then you have the Pune University MBA, which is called Pumba, very good institute. Again, 99.88 is the cutoff for all India. Xavier Institute of Management, one institute that has always had a very high cutoff, 99.88. So you will see both these institutes are at almost the same percentile cutoff. Then you have SIES, which is 99.79. COEP has two programs, there's MBA and MBA Business Analytics, so 99.73 and 99.66. Then you have Chetna. Chetna again decent institute, 99.43 is the cutoff, was the cutoff last year. You will find the complete list in the description. So I have put only I would say about top 18 odd options. There are B schools beyond these as well. There are programs beyond these. I will give you a link in the description from where you can check out the actual percentile cutoff. Okay. And this is the last slide that I'm going to have. So we have MET here at 99.1, then Lala Lajpat Rai 98.2, Indira in Pune at 97.85. So now you'll see the cutoffs will start going down. And this is basically like the ranking of the institutes as well. Cutoffs tell you a story, right? So when you look at these cutoffs, you know that one institute is better than the other because of the cutoff differences. Then you have Vivekananda Education Society, again good option, 97.6. Then you have Rizvi, St. Francis, both at 97, 95 respectively. Then you have Thakur at 95, then Alkesh Dinesh Modi, Institute of Financial and Management Studies at 95 almost. And then you have Indira Global School of Business in Pune at 94.3. So as you go from here further, you are going to have options at 90 percentile, at 85 percentile, at 80, at 75 percentile, and so on. So have a look at the document which you will find in the description to know what institutes you can look at the percentile that you have got. So we discussed three things to kind of summarize the discussion and end the video. We first started with B schools where there's a defined cutoff. Okay, so if you are eligible, then only you should apply. Second thing we discussed was the institutes where there is no defined cutoff as such by that particular B school. So you should try your luck, you should apply because the selection process looks at the other elements of your profile. And the third is how you can use your CMAT score for institutes that fall under the CET cell, the process that is conducted, which is called the centralized admission process. For this particular thing, there's nothing that you need to do at this point of time. Everything will happen after the MBA CET result. Okay. So if you have any questions, please let me know via the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video has helped you and given you some options that you can look at. If you're scored on the higher end in your CMAT, definitely there are good options to that you can make it to. But if you're scored on the lower side as well, there's absolutely no reason to worry. You will have enough options via these, the ones that we mentioned, where you can get in. The thing that you need to consider, as I mentioned in the beginning as well, very, very important is to do your research, talk to students who have graduated from these B schools before you commit, because some of them, as we saw, would be offering even less than 7 LPA. Whether to go there or not, that's a call that you need to take. So do your research and take that decision. So thank you so much for watching. I hope it has helped you. Wish all of you all the best. And if you have any queries, then let me know. Okay, bye. Take care.